I have a property a mile up the road from here, and we'd walk the dogs along the riverbank, and I used to look across and see this derelict site crumbling away. And so for some time I sort of worked away to bring the site back to life.
Allen's smelting mill was in operation from the end of the 17th century to the end of the 19th century. It was one of the busiest lead smelting mills in the country.
One of the big sources for lead were the mines in Allendale. That mine closed in 1894, and by then the whole lead industry was sort of in its last throes, really.
The mill finally closed in 1896.
The first time I visited here, what we found was a very heavily overgrown site.
I thought I'd come and have a look and see what there was, and it was just so disappointing. All you could see really poking out was a few tiny bits of masonry, and just went away thinking, oh, what a shame.
We realised that we needed to uncover the vegetation in order for the architect and the archaeologist to actually see what might be there. And so we invited as many volunteers as we could down onto the site over a series of weekends.
I don't know why they chose to do it in February. It was snowing half the time. And it was pretty miserable conditions, but I think everybody was really kind of amazed at what we were finding.
Unbeknownst to us, after that, the volunteers had continued to come back and were working with the landowner on other features on the site. And it's at that point we decided we ought to get back involved with the volunteers.
Volunteers who come here, we all get a lot of satisfaction out of creating a new view for people to look at. Sometimes it's good to look back and say, hey guys, you know, this was here 200 years ago perhaps, lots of people work here, look at all their efforts, and can't we just save that memory, if you like, for the future.
The results of the volunteers being on site were, in the end, that we were able to conserve a lot more of the site than we had originally anticipated. We were able to apply for more funding from Historic England, and the volunteers did loads of work on lime mortaring of the Bingsteads here. So there was a fantastic collaboration between the contractors, the volunteers, the architects and the local historians as well.
What we have to do now as volunteers is maintain the current condition of the site, keeping the trees and the vegetation at bay, but also to do more conservation work and so on the surrounding perimeter of the area.
Our preoccupation at the moment is to have a water wheel running on the site again.
This will be a hugely important thing for the development of the Allen Valley. It's a great tourist attraction to have a water wheel rebuilt and reinstated. There's so much work to be done at all sorts of levels, all sorts of skills. We wouldn't have the site looking the way it is today if it wasn't for our volunteers.